What does it mean to be a human? What are the common experiences of all people? This may be large questions, so let's be more specific. What does it mean to be a European? Any answer to this question would have to ignore specifics for each country. A similar problem arises when trying to define African literature. There are 54 nations which make up Africa. Each of these separate countries have their own history, culture, tribes, and traditions. That being said, there are some commonalities shared by literature which comes from the continent as a whole. Defining African literature can be complicated. There are some authors who believe African literature can only be composed in African languages. Others believe African literature can be composed in any language so long as it is composed by authors from Africa. African literature has origins dating back thousands of years to ancient Egypt of hieroglyphs, or writing which uses pictures to represent words. These ancient Egyptian beginnings led to Arabic poetry, which spread during the Arab conquest of Egypt in the 7th century CE and through the Western Africa in the 9th century CE. These African and Arabic cultures continued to blend with the European culture and literature to form a unique literary form. Africa experienced several hardships in its long history, which left an impact on the themes of its literature. One hardship which led to many others is of that colonization. Colonization is when people leave their country and settle in other land, often one of which is already inhabited. The problem with colonization is when the incoming people exploit the indigenous people and the resources of the inhabited land. Colonization led to slavery. Millions of African people were enslaved and brought to Western countries around the world from the 16th to 19th centuries. This spreading of African people, largely against their will, is called the African diaspora. Sub-Saharan Africa developed a written literature during the 19th and early 20th centuries. This development came as a result of missionaries coming to the era. The missionaries came to Africa to build churches and language schools in order to translate religious texts. This led to Africans writing in both European and indigenous languages. Though African literature's history is as long as it is rich, most of the popular works have come out since 1950, especially the noteworthy Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Looking beyond the most recent works is necessary to understand the complete development of this collection of literature.